After returning back to America from that trip, I would have found myself homeless for the first time in my life. So this is gonna be part two of how you end up there, right? That's our little Grenadian lingo. Or I wouldn't only say it's Grenadian. I do believe other islands like Trinidad, St. Vincent, St. Lucia. I'm not sure if Jamaica speaks like that. I'm not sure. But how you end up there. How you end up there means how did you end up there? All right. And I last left off speaking to you guys about 10 years ago, 2015. I graduated high school. Camille, was it 2014?
2014.
Right. My twin sister is in the background, so I just had to check with her really quick because I couldn't remember. So 2014, graduate high school. Now at that age, obviously 17, 18 years old about, right? Haven't worked before, so therefore I obviously don't have my own money. I'm being taken care of by my parents, right? So we end up going back home finally after school. I finished school and everything like that. I never had a desire to go to college. And the reason why I did not want to go to college is because I genuinely believed that college was a scam. I genuinely believed that college was, I felt like, why do I have to force myself to fit into society's norms?
It is a scam.
Oh, well, you see, my sister is a college graduate. Big up to my sister. She went to Brooklyn College. She went for 4 years. She got her bachelor's. From the age of like 10 to 17 is when I discovered how spiritually inclined I am with God. I could hear the voice of God very, very clearly telling me exactly what my purpose is on this earth and telling me where He wants me to go in life. God told me that college is not in my path. And so that is why I said, I am not going to college. I knew that my gift is my voice, not just the gift that God gave me to sing, but He gave me the gift of speaking eloquently, speaking. He gave me my brain, the way that my thoughts operate, the way that my brain is wired is very, very, very divine. And God told me that we are not going to do exactly what society is. I don't want to say mind fuck. That's not the word I'm looking for. Society basically mentally manipulates people to think that they have to be a certain way or that they have to do a certain thing. And I am very, very, very rebellious in the sense that I see Jesus Christ as a brother of mine, right? God is my father. Jesus is the son. I am Jesus's sister. And my big brother has taught me a lot. And my big brother moves with me everywhere I have to go in life and is always talking to me and is always coaching me and is always mentoring me. And I listen to my big brother. Okay, I listened to Jesus Christ. I knew that I was different. I knew that I was chosen. And I listen to the voice of God and I do exactly what God tells me to do. And God said to me, stay close to your roots. And one day I'm going to send you back home to your motherland to get some work done for me. I don't know what the work was going to be, but I'm just listening to God, okay? From the age of 10 to the age of 17. Following the voice of God, following my purpose, and following the roadmap, really, that He set out for me. So I would have went back home 10 years ago, following the voice of God, listening to my big brother, Jesus Christ, and doing exactly what I was told. Maybe I will get into the details of exactly how that went in another video, But I want to get straight to the point of after returning back to America from that trip, I would have found myself homeless for the first time in my life. And that was a huge eye opener for me. Just graduated high school, just thrown right out into the real world as newly an adult. And now I had no home. I lost everything that I owned, all my belongings, everything like that. It was a huge eye opener to me. So anyone who is watching this, who has ever lost their home for any reason, whether it be fires, evictions, natural disasters, whatever it is that caused you to lose your home, you can relate to me and you understand what it feels like to become homeless and have no home to go to, and now have to either have the option of staying by family members, or maybe a friend took you in, or maybe you had to go to the homeless shelter, or maybe you opted to stay on the street. It took a huge toll on my mental health as well as my physical health. It put me straight into survival mode, and my main mission was that I just wanted a home. I just wanted a home again. I just wanted some place to call home because I had no home. I remember just telling myself, I need a job, right? I'm 18 years old, like 18, 19 years old. I need a job because that's the only way that I'm going to get a home again is I need to be able to have money to, whether it be get an apartment to rent, or I just had to figure out everything. At school they didn't really teach us about life in the real world, that you were going to need to have good credit and like all these things. They don't teach this thing in school, you understand? So I had no idea what credit was, and I already, at this stage where I became homeless, I already had really bad credit, and I had never even owned a credit card in my life. Okay. And my credit was already terrible due to mistakes that my parents would have made along the way. Right. So I now had to figure out, how do I do life and find a home? These are the things that, although they are past traumas, they definitely help to strengthen me into being the person that I am today. And so I don't regret the negative things that I've gone through, because they have made me such an incredible person. And it was all a part of the journey that I had to be on in order to do what God put me here to do. I embark on a journey of trying to make sure that I'm fed and clothed by going to get a job. It was minimum wage, but it was keeping food in my mouth. I was just so determined to fulfill my purpose. One of the first jobs I actually landed, my very, very first job, was as a market research interviewer. Marketing became something that I become very skilled in doing. However, at the time, I honestly had no idea. Long story made short, since I was a little girl, I always knew that I had a voice for music. Deeply rooted in my culture, I knew that I wanted to pursue soca music. And so while I was working, your little 9 to 5, this probably was one of the best jobs that I could have had to prepare me for what would take place later on in my life. After I had the job as a market research interviewer, I ended up working at retail stores like Sears, JCPenney in customer service, and learned people skills and things of that nature. And these jobs would have helped mold me into the person that I am today and the skills that I now possess. I embarked on my career as a music artist, and the very first song that I dropped was called Sugar Mommy, on a Sugar Mommy rhythm with Expert Productions from Carriacou, Grenada, which is the island that my father was born on, Carriacou, Grenada. Now, in dropping this first song, I went all out with all of the skills that I would have learned through market research. I had a brand. I was very particular about the brand color. I chose pink. I designed my outfit for me to do my photo shoot in. I did my hairstyle the way that I wanted because I was presenting this character to go along with my song release. But little did I know that when you embark in a career that is in the public eye, you need to be very protected because you will get attacked, and not just attacked, physically through social media and people judging you or people in your real life judging you, but in the spiritual world also you will become attacked, especially when negative energies know that God is on a mission. The enemy will try to stop God's plan. And as God had chosen me and God appointed me, and the enemy knew that, and I was completely oblivious, because you see, I don't listen to the voice of the enemy. It's there, but I know who my God is. And so I'm always just so deeply focused on God that I never pay attention to the enemy and when it's going to try to attack. However, my big brother Jesus Christ always is looking out for me and always has my back and is 2 steps ahead of the enemy. Right? So me being completely oblivious. And I think if you watch me and my sister's show, we would have explained to you guys that she more so is like the social butterfly and always interacting with people. I am more reserved. I am an introvert. I mind my business. I am the queen of minding my own business. I don't pay attention to anybody and what anybody has going on. And that's mostly because I'm an introvert, I'm reserved, and I'm an empath. And empaths tend to be like a sponge and absorb a lot of what is going on. Like if you bring a problem to an empath is going to be like, oh no, that's what's happening to you? No, we need to put a stop to this. I need to help you. We are so into rescuing and saving and correcting all the wrongs and making everything right. That is how empathetic people are. And so you could come to me and say, oh my gosh, I hit my head, and I'm going to go all out trying to make sure that we get your head fixed and we get you the medical, treatment that you need. And that is how empaths are. We take on your problem as if it is our own. And because of that, we have to protect ourselves from people who know that about us, sense that about us, and decide to manipulate us and use it to their advantage to get what they want, unfortunately. Okay, and so we are preyed upon by some of the most selfish people on this planet. Okay, so I'm not your social butterfly. I was not savvy with social media. I did not know anything about Instagram. I had a Facebook account. I had I really, more so my focus was YouTube, because I love to preach. I love to enlighten people. I love to speak. I love to share what God has shared with me and given me to share with you. And so I wanted a YouTube channel more than anything else. And that's really what I was going to start on. But I knew that I needed to share things on Instagram to help push my music. So I would have posted this picture. And this picture, I did not know would have become a blessing and a curse. Okay. So I have a female cousin that's a photographer. She took these photos for me in the living room of my great grand aunt's apartment.
No big studio, no big money thing, no money girl thing. Currently house hopping between family because, like I said, my situation. Save up my little coins from my little retail store job, buy the clothes, buy the wig. Girlfriend did my makeup for me, and that was it. I threw it together and it was a nice look.
Very, very beautiful picture, very, very beautiful depiction of the song that I had created. I'm blossoming, minding my own business, paying attention to me. Many people tend to believe that when a girl is pretty or beautiful, that they're probably a mean girl, or that they're probably you know just have like a negative energy or a bad mind. And really and truly, it's because they look at you, and your beauty is like, it brings out their insecurity, and they think that you are not nice because you look too nice to be nice. They think that you are probably full of yourself, when the truth is they think that you're better than them. And you don't think that you're better than anybody. Because I'm telling you, under the pink wig and under the makeup and under the pretty outfit, I'm just Camille. I'm just Camille. I'm just your average, beautiful little God-fearing girl. And because I looked like this, I think that people looked at the picture and it's just like, oh, she thinks she's all that. She thinks she's better, blah, blah, blah. She looks like money. She looks rich. She looks like she's got it all. She looks like, and it's just art. It honestly was just art. Okay. And that's what music is. A lot of the time when you look at these celebrities and they've got the makeup on, the nails on, the wig on, it's just art. It does not define who that person is. No one should really be judged by how they look, and people deciding how they should and should not treat someone because of how they look. But at the end of the day, that's the world that we live in, that's the society that we live in, right? And so that is what I now had to face. I continue doing my music. My journey would be one that would be an emotional roller coaster. And I would be lying if I said that my mental health wasn't always like up and down throughout my journey as a soca artist. But one thing that I have to be proud of is that from the beginning of my soca, of my music artistry journey, and let me just say, the beginning of my journey as a public figure, I have been in therapy from the beginning all the way till now. And that is a blessing that probably not many people have, but I have that blessing. And it helps me to be fully in love with myself. It helps me to fully be spiritually in tune. And I'm able to be very transparent, unapologetically true, and real. I love music. Music is one of the best gifts that God has given us, right? But one thing that I don't believe in is idolatry. I do not believe in idolatry. And unfortunately, the music industry and the entertainment business focuses a lot on idolatry and, celebrating celebrities, right? And believing in this like big facade, creating an atmosphere of where people should be vain, and then their patrons should be envious and covetous of what they have and what they're presenting. And we all know life is what you make it, right? So honestly, people could present a whole lie to you and make it look like, put it in film, in picture, that they are living a life that they actually are not. And then all of your viewers at home are depressed and crying and wishing to live the life that you're showing them that you're living, but you're actually not living. It's very detrimental to the mental health of human beings. It has led to so many suicides, especially with the rise of social media and people becoming social media famous, and everyone it just seems like the generation today is just paying attention to the numbers on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and whatever. They're just so focused on this following number and this how to get views and how to get likes, and people are doing the most outrageous things because they think that success means to be big on camera, be big in front of people, and not actually in the real world. And that is something that God spoke to me and said, Camille, you don't fall into that. Everybody trying to, get views and get likes and get this number at the top of their page to be bigger than their competitor. Don't you dare fall into that. And I listened to God and I said, I'm not going to fall into that. I do not care about being the most popular person, being the most celebrated person, being the person with the most followers. Please do not idolize me. I do not believe in idolatry. I later would have realized that I was under a spiritual attack just because I became a public figure and put myself out there as a music artist, where people would have just looked at your picture and think, oh, she thinks she's big. She thinks she's, and they put themselves in competition with you when you were never competing with anyone. I was just on my own journey. I say all of that to say that when you are putting yourself out there, you do need to pray, and stay in tune with God and stay in tune with Jesus Christ in order for him to protect you, because the enemy will almost stop at nothing to deter and deteriorate God's plan. Everything is just, honestly, it's very spiritual. I would have to really break it down and explain to you another time. You know what? Cliffhanger again. Let's leave it for the next video. So the next video, I'm going to explain, why I left America. And it's not just me. It's a wave. It's happening all over. A lot of people are leaving America and finally returning back to their roots, finally returning back to their motherland. The Black diaspora is what I'm specifically speaking about. We're listening to the voice of God. There's a couple of us who are chosen, okay? And we are listening to the voice of God and taking ourselves exactly where he is directing us. And I'm going to talk about that in my next video. This is your girl Camille, keeping it real, and you are watching The Real Camille. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.